right, everyone, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling a topic that's both unnerving and, let's be honest, kind of fascinating. We're talking about the shadowy world of cybersecurity.
And it's more relevant now than ever. We're seeing threats evolving at an alarming rate, targeting individuals and organizations alike.
Exactly, and that's why we're digging into some recent articles, all dated September 18th, 2024. We want to uncover those hidden gems, those insights that might just give you the edge in this digital battleground.
Because knowledge is power, right? The more you understand about the threats out there, the better equipped you are to protect yourself.
100%. So let's jump right in with a term that might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, botnets. Imagine a whole army of devices, all hijacked, all under the control of a single, often malicious, puppet master.
Yeah, that's a creepy thought. And one botnet, in particular, caught our eye, Raptor Train. This one's massive.
Okay, how massive are we talking?
Over 200,000 devices. But here's where it gets interesting. Raptor Train isn't going after big corporations or government agencies, at least not primarily.
Intriguing. So who are they after?
They're targeting everyday people like you and me. They're hijacking home devices, routers, security cameras, even those internet-connected baby monitors.
Now that's scary. So it's like they're going after the low-hanging fruit, the devices we often forget to secure properly.
You got it.
Yeah.
Home users, let's face it, we're not always as security conscious as we should be. We might not update our passwords regularly, or we forget to install those crucial firmware updates.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Exactly. And that makes our devices prime targets for botnets like Raptor Train.
So let's say my smart coffee maker is now part of this botnet army. What are they going to make it do? Brew a pot of ransomware?
Well, maybe not that, but it could be used to launch attacks on other systems, even spy on unsuspecting users. Imagine your own security camera being used to watch someone else.
Okay, now that's just creepy. But there's a bit of good news, right? The FBI recently took down Raptor Train.
True, they did. But here's the catch. It's a temporary victory at best.
What do you mean?
Dismantling a botnet is kind of like playing whack-a-mole. You might knock down one, but another one pops up. And a lot of those compromised devices, especially those in homes, they run on outdated firmware, which makes them incredibly vulnerable to reinfection.
So even with Raptor Train down, the threat remains.
Absolutely. And it highlights a crucial point. Those seemingly insignificant firmware updates, they're your first line of defense. Neglect them, and you're practically rolling out the welcome mat for these botnet armies.
It's a stark reminder that cybersecurity is about more than just complex algorithms and firewalls. It's about us, the users, and our everyday habits. It's a wake-up call, for sure. You know, we often think about cyber attacks as these brute force attempts to crack codes and break down digital walls, but sometimes the most effective way in is through deception.
Absolutely. It's called social engineering.
Ah.
And it preys on our human nature, our trust, our curiosity, even our desire for a good deal.
Speaking of which, one article really sent chills down my spine. It involved a Chinese national who was indicted for targeting NASA, specifically software used in advanced tactical missiles. I mean, this isn't just stealing data, this is
Espionage at a whole other level, right? And this case highlights a worrying trend, the increasing involvement of nation-state actors in cyber espionage.
It's like something out of a spy thriller, but it's happening in the real world with real consequences. And it's not just governments, is it? Businesses are being targeted too.
Oh, absolutely. Especially those in sectors with valuable intellectual property, aerospace, energy, defense, you name it. And they often employ similar tactics like that case you mentioned with the Chinese PLA member targeting a U.S. communications company.
Right, two seemingly separate incidents, but both originating from the same region and targeting very specific industries. It makes you wonder if it's all part of a larger strategy.
Exactly, and it underscores the importance of understanding the motivations behind these attacks. It's not always about immediate financial gain. It's often about gaining a strategic advantage, whether that's by stealing cutting-edge technology or disrupting critical infrastructure.
So how are they pulling off these sophisticated attacks? Is it all super skilled hackers cracking codes?
Well, technical skills are definitely part of it, but a surprising number of these attacks succeed because of something much simpler. Social engineering.
Social engineering, you mean like manipulating people into giving up information?
Exactly. It's about exploiting human vulnerabilities rather than just technical ones, like phishing, for example.
Ah, phishing. Those pesky emails that try to trick you into clicking on malicious links or downloading infected attachments.
Exactly. And they're getting more sophisticated all the time.
Yeah.
It used to be easy to spot a phishing email, bad grammar, suspicious sender address, but now
Now they look incredibly convincing, like that North Korean campaign, Operation Dream Job. They were using fake job postings to target people in the energy and aerospace industries. Can you believe that?
It's scary how convincing they can be, and that's why awareness is so crucial. We need to be cautious about the links we click, the attachments we open, even the job offers we apply for.
It's almost like we have to be suspicious by default, which is a shame because it makes you question everything. But it's a necessity in today's digital landscape.
It is, and it highlights the importance of security awareness training, both at home and in the workplace. We need to be aware of the tactics being used, and we need to be vigilant about protecting our information.
It's a digital minefield out there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And just when you think you've got a handle on the latest threats, something new pops up.
That's the nature of cybersecurity, always evolving. And today we're diving into a topic that's often overlooked, but it can pose a significant risk to organizations of all sizes: shadow apps.
Shadow apps, okay. Now that sounds kind of ominous. What are we talking about here? Some sort of secret software lurking in the dark corners of the internet?
Not exactly. Shadow apps are more like those software tools that employees start using without IT's knowledge or approval.
So think like that cool project management app that everyone in the marketing team swears by, but IT has no clue it even exists.
You got it. And while some shadow apps might seem harmless on the surface, they can actually pose some pretty big security risks, especially when they're integrated with a company's network or other critical systems.
Because suddenly you've got data flowing in and out, potentially bypassing all those security protocols IT has worked so hard to put in place.
Exactly. It's a nightmare scenario for IT departments. They're trying to maintain security, ensure compliance, but they're doing it with one hand tied behind their back because they don't even have a complete picture of what's running on their network.
Talk about a security headache, right? But let's get practical. What can organizations do to combat this shadow app threat? Because it sounds like it could be lurking anywhere.
Well, one solution that's gaining traction is something called SSPM, SaaS Security Posture Management.
Okay, SSPM, got it. So how does that work?
Think of it like a specialized security solution that's specifically designed to detect and manage all the software being used within an organization, including those sneaky shadow apps.
So it's like shining a spotlight on those blind spots, finally giving IT a clear view of their entire digital landscape.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating is how these SSPM solutions are evolving. This article highlighted some pretty clever detection methods. For example, some SSPM solutions can actually integrate with existing email security systems to flag unusual activity, like, say, a certain influx of welcome emails from an unrecognized application.
That's smart. It's like having a digital detective sniffing out those suspicious packages before they even reach the doorstep.
Precisely. And as these SSPM solutions continue to evolve, they're becoming more adept at recognizing and flagging potentially risky shadow apps, which ultimately gives organizations a fighting chance to mitigate those risks before they escalate into full-blown security breaches.
That's reassuring, especially after the roller coaster of threats we've unpacked today. From botnets hijacking our devices to state-sponsored espionage to these sneaky shadow apps lurking in the shadows, it feels like a constant uphill battle to stay ahead of the curve.
It definitely takes effort, there's no doubt about that. But knowledge is our greatest ally. The more we understand about the threats we face, the better equipped we are to make informed decisions and protect ourselves.
Couldn't agree more. So if our listeners take away just one thing from today's deep dive, what would you want it to be?
Be proactive. Don't wait for something bad to happen before you start thinking about cybersecurity. Take those extra steps, install those updates, think twice before you click that link. It might seem like a hassle, but trust me, a little vigilance goes a long way in this digital age.
Wise words. It's all about staying vigilant and informed. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep those questions coming, keep those cybersecurity discussions going, because the more we share, the more we learn, and the safer we all are. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and stay secure.